The PWHL expansion draft is now come and gone. What a phase it was. In this video, I want to share my thoughts on the players that both teams brought in, as well as who may have won the period. Before I do though, be sure to give this video a like, that's the best way to show your support. I'm going for 10 likes on this video. Hit that subscribe button down below as well if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss out on any more PWHL content. Let's begin by talking about Vancouver and their exclusive signing window signings. They got started first on the first day by signing both Claire Thompson and Sophie Jakes from the Minnesota Frost. Two fantastic signings that I was super hyped about when I first heard the news. They managed to snag 2/3 of the top D-core from the team who just won back-to-back championships. Not only that, but they also got Jakes on an extension that has her under contract until 2028. The question there though is, will she be at risk again if another expansion occurs next season or within the next 2 seasons? It was also reported that Thompson is still undecided if she will continue playing after next season, or if she'll retire to pursue her medical career. I hope she doesn't decide to stop playing because she's shown that she still has loads of talent, and she's still 27, so she definitely has some years left in her. She did only sign a 1-year deal, so that will give her flexibility on what her next plans are, which also means it's possible that she doesn't return to the team next season if she decides to continue her career. Both players are fantastic two-way defenders who have shown they are capable of shutting down the opponent as well as pitching in on the offensive side. That's why I'm super pumped about them. On the same day that these two were brought in, there were reports going around of both Emmerich Mashmeyer and Sarah Nurse signing with the team. When I heard that, I was a bit shocked. Although I did expect that a team like Vancouver was going to push for them, I didn't expect either player to be super willing. Knowing that Mashmeyer has a kid and Nurse is from Ontario and was highly loved by the fans of the Scepters, I wasn't expecting either to sign during the window, and at best be picked up in the expansion draft. However, when I saw that Mashmeyer had signed for 2 years, that told me that she actually wants to play for Vancouver. She is from Alberta, so she'll be closer to her hometown, which may have been a factor in the decision, but I think a bigger factor is due to the fact that while she was injured, Gwyneth Phillips took over for the Ottawa Charge and showed she has what it takes to succeed in this league. Had Mashmeyer stayed in Ottawa, her playing time likely would have decreased a lot, but Vancouver will give her the full-time starter minutes. As for Nurse, she only signed a 1-year deal, which might feel like she doesn't plan to stick around long term. When it happened, some of the thoughts going on in my head were, it looks like it's possible that she knew she was going to get picked up by a new team regardless, so might as well get it over with. Even if she's only on the team for a year, she's going to bring in fans regardless, and may also be a nice leader for this new team. And with their final exclusive signing, the team brought in British Columbia native Jennifer Gardner without any prior warnings. I think most fans knew that it was going to happen. Even as a Vancouver native myself, I was kind of hoping we would continue to see her play with someone like Poulin for a little bit longer, but it may be best to bring her in right away to build a team identity and fan base. Unfortunately, this may involve breaking up identities and fan bases in the process. I expect Gardner to become a fan favorite immediately. Maybe she could even be given part of the captaincy right off the bat. On to their expansion draft picks. They won the lottery draw and chose to pick first, which meant Seattle would get picks 2 and 3 in a snake-style draft. When they picked Ashton Bell first, part of me was surprised, but afterwards I could see a strategy that the team is looking to form. It looks like they're looking for D that can be key contributors on the score sheet and who know how to play defense. When you look at their entire roster, it looks like this team lacks a clear leader. I saw some suggestions that someone like Ashton Bell should be given the role, but I'm not fully sure she's ready for that. If I had to choose to give captaincy to someone currently on the team, I'd probably give it to Sarah Nurse. I was hoping that Vancouver was going to get Micah Zandy Hart, and then she would be the consensus pick. If you're in charge though, who would you name team captain? I was thinking that they may go for a player like Brianne Jenner, who is a known leader, but perhaps her salary and the team's plans stopped them from going that route. Looking at their other picks, a few of them I did have in mind of the team choosing. One I want to talk about though is Brooke McQuigg. Last year, I was shocked when Minnesota chose her in the 4th round of the draft, but after seeing her play this past season, I was always impressed. She plays with this edge that teams need in order to win games. Not only can she pitch in on the score sheet when she needs to, she can play physically. When you look at the rest of the team, I don't expect them to come in and be a star with the team. It does tell me though the team is hoping to save some money and roster spots for free agency. Looking at their depth chart, they definitely still have some holes to fill. That right wing position could go either way, to be honest. It may be a situation where they try different lines out to see what works best. Daniel was teammates with Nurse in Toronto, and Boreen was teammates with Gardner in Montreal, so there may be something there with either combination. This team looks pretty young, to be quite honest. They're going to have to add some veterans in free agency, but I'll save most of that talk for another video. I have Rosenthal as the 3rd line center because she hasn't really shown that she can play top 6 minutes, and I think the team should look to add a solid 2nd line center. I'm sure most fans expect that hometown player Hannah Miller will be joining the team, and she's shown that she can play both on the wing and at center, something the team should think about if they haven't already. Moving on now to Seattle. Just look at their exclusive signing window results. Oh my goodness! Hillary Knight and Alex Carpenter? This team is already looking like they may go crazy year one just by looking at them from face value. They also added a couple of first round draftees from last year, Danielle Serdachny and Kayla Barnes. Not only did they add Barnes, they also added another year to her contract. Unfortunately, this separates her from Jen Gardner. As for Serdachny, she didn't really fit into Ottawa's system and was playing on the fourth line towards the end of her tenure. I really think Seattle could help her find her game. She still has room to improve, especially on the defensive side, but her skating ability looks to be her strong suit. She may be a turnover machine, but she's shown she can set up scoring chances. Expect to see a different version of her next season. And lastly, they signed Corinne Schroeder to a 2-year deal from the New York Sirens. I expected this would occur before the phase began, but something I remember thinking was the fact that since Vancouver had already gotten their goalie, was bringing in Schroeder that quickly a bad move? Rumors were going around that they would be bringing in Hannah Bilka during the signing window, but they ultimately didn't, although they did get her in the expansion draft anyway. Them waiting for that period to get Bilka did seem like a risk, considering the fact that there was almost no chance that Vancouver would grab another starting caliber goalie. But the benefit of them getting Schroeder sooner is that they were able to give her a longer contract, meaning her contract won't expire next season, but that may be a risk depending on if another expansion occurs next year, and what the team's current contract situation will look like at that point. Let's look at the two teams' expansion draft picks side by side. Who do you believe won in this phase? Seattle definitely got some great forwards that are going to jump into the top 6 right away. Both teams picked only one more expensive player, those being Ashton Bell and Jesse Eldridge, whom Seattle was able to get with the 6th pick of the draft. They also picked 4D in this phase, none of them being super big names, but all capable of making an impact. I recall Megan Turner talking very highly about Aneta Terlova, talking about her puck-moving ability. And they literally got Julia Gosling as well. She may not have had the greatest rookie season with Toronto, but that's still a major loss for them. She only has 1 year remaining on her contract, so the risk is she doesn't come back, although that can be a risk for many of these players. Before last year's draft, Gosling was getting comparisons to Natalie Spooner, and I thought perhaps learning from someone like her would help her find that quickly. But Spooner did miss a chunk of the season. I can imagine that Gosling finds her game in a different situation. Toronto also lost Megan Carter, whom they had picked in the 2nd round last year. She also missed the first part of the season due to injury, and when she did come back, she played on the 3rd pair, not receiving a ton of playing time. Looking at the players Seattle acquired, I expect she will get a bigger role now. The team will probably try different pairings out so they find out how they work together. Look at each team's depth chart now. At first glance you may say, oh my gosh, Seattle is so stacked. They have 2 of the best forwards and one of the best first lines in the league. They're definitely winning the championship next season. I wouldn't speak too fast though. Like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. If you have been watching hockey for a long time, you should probably know that you need more than just stars to win a championship. When I look at Seattle, they definitely look like a team that's going to score lots of goals and probably dominate the regular season that way. But it feels like they may struggle to finish it off come playoff time. Their roster reminds me a little bit of teams such as the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs, whose strategy is essentially that their team is going to score so many goals, it doesn't matter what the opponent does. And if you think about their first line, none of them were even in the playoffs last season. So great players won't always equal a great team. Plus, when you do get to the playoffs, things like shutdown defense and hot goaltending is what seems to get you far most of the time. When I look at their defense, I think it has potential, but it's definitely not a star-studded core. I thought they could have gone for someone like Jocelyn Larocque, who was excellent with Ottawa in the playoffs and would give the team that leadership on the defensive side. The risk there was probably her age and her salary though. I have Wilgren and Barnes paired together because they played together a lot with Montreal, but like I said, this will likely be shuffled around during the season. When I think about Vancouver, although the roster isn't complete, it feels more like a team that may sneak into the playoffs, but will go far once they get there. The main part of their D-core all were in the finals this season, so they're bringing that experience to the team straight away. Have you noticed that all 4 players that Minnesota lost are in Vancouver? This may upset some fans, but when I look at Vancouver, I think about the Minnesota Frost. When I look at Seattle, I think about the Montreal Victoire, due to the fact that both seasons, they were a great team offensively, but once they were in the playoffs, they struggled to get it done. I would love to be proven wrong though. I'm excited to see what both teams do in free agency and the draft to fill out their roster. So those are my thoughts on how the expansion phase went. I know most fans are probably upset that their favorite team lost some of their players. I'll touch base more on that another time when I talk about each team's rosters. I feel for you if some of your favorite players were taken away. Be sure to comment below your thoughts on each team's performance this phase. Do you like the players that Vancouver and Seattle brought in? Do you think the existing teams made the correct protection decisions? Did you agree with my opinions? Did you disagree? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, and be sure to also check out my other PWHL content. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Subscribe so you don't miss out on future PWHL content, and I will catch you next time. Bye!